feet to be hip width apart, so you want them in line with your knees, in line with your hips, and they want to be parallel. So with our feet here, we're just going to set the body up. So I want you to think about isolating the pelvis or your hips, and I want you to think about the bottom part of your spine, so the tailbone at the very bottom. We're going to think about scooping that tailbone under as we tilt our pelvis back. So we're in our posterior tilt here, and then we're going to tilt our pelvis forwards, kind of arching at the spine. We want to try and make sure the chest stays still. So as we're arching at the spine, tilting the pelvis forward, we want to make sure that we're not lifting the chest stays exactly where it is. From here, we go in the other direction. So scooping that tailbone under, tilting the pelvis back, and we tilt forwards, back into our anterior tilt. And again, we scoop under. Imagine a bucket of water on top of the pelvis. As we tilt forwards, we're tipping that water out the back. As we scoop under and tip that pelvis back, we're tipping that water out the back. Now we want to maybe imagine your favourite beverage, whether that's a cup of coffee in the morning or a large glass of wine in the evening. We're balancing it on top of our pelvis, and we don't want to be spilling that out of the front or the back. So we're finding a point in between the two, kind of drawing that tailbone down rather than scooping under. We want to think about lifting up through that pelvic floor. Maybe imagine that you are coming into freezing cold water and we're just coming up ever so slightly. Maybe close your eyes and just imagine how it feels to kind of, walk into the cold ocean or a cold swimming pool, and you're just like, oh no, and you start lifting up through that pelvic floor. That's the sensation that we want to be feeling. So we're slightly lifting up through that pelvic floor just to about here. From here, we want to hold that, so we're in our neutral spine, slightly lifting up through that pelvic floor. We come round to our abdominals this time. So I want you to imagine a belt around your waist. Maybe close your eyes here if you want to. It's got 10 notches on it. And we really want to be pulling that belt all the way to notch number 10. To get it on the 10th notch, we're really squeezing in those abdominals here. And we're going to release off to the 5th notch. That's still quite tight, just not as tight as before. Then we're going to release off to the 3rd notch. So we're not squeezing as much anymore, but we're just kind of activating, and we know that that belt is still around us. So we're in our neutral spine, slightly lifting up through that pelvic floor. We've got that belt on the 3rd notch to activate those abdominals. We bring our hands around our ribcage. We're going to go into our lateral thoracic breathing. We inhale through the nose and slowly exhale through the mouth. So you want to feel your ribcage expand into your hands as you inhale, almost like we're inflating a balloon, and then we exhale and that balloon deflates underneath our hands. We're going to take our hands down beside us, rolling those shoulders up and back, taking those shoulders into our little back pockets, holding here. We want to imagine that we've got a tennis ball, maybe a plum underneath our chin. So we're not dropping that chin down, and that chin is not sticking up to the ceiling. It's nice and neutral, holding that tennis ball underneath that chin. Imagine a string coming out of the crown of your head, almost kind of like you're a puppet, and somebody's pulling that string up and away. So rather than us sinking into our joints and our muscles and things, and we want to be lifting up and away, almost like we're floating away. From here, you might want to walk to the back of your mat if you're not already there. And then from here, we're just going to go through some roll down, start mobilizing the spine. So we're going to inhale through the nose. As we exhale, we're just going to drop that chin towards the chest. Our arms become nice and heavy like ragdolls. We just relax them down, draw the crown of the head all the way down towards the mat. We come as far as we can. We bend the knees to bring them back in line with the ankles. Squeeze those glutes to bring the hips back in line with the knees. And then we start rolling back up, stacking each vertebrae on top of each other. We roll the shoulders up and back, head comes up last. We go again. Inhale, exhale, we go down. We can breathe normally as we start to roll down. Think about your belly button, drawing it back towards your spine, drawing the crown of the head all the way down. Once you've gone as far as you can, we bend the knees, squeeze the glutes. We start to roll back up through the spine. Rolling those shoulders up and back, head coming up last. We go again, last one. Inhale, exhale, we come down. This time we're going to stay down. So once you've come as far as you can, we're just going to hang here for a moment, relax the neck, maybe give your head a gentle nod or a gentle shake. We're going to walk the hands out into a downward dog. Here, so we're kind of in an upside down V shape. We want our shoulders away from our ears, so we don't want to be sinking down. We want our shoulders away from our ears. And we want to try and think about pushing our chest towards our thighs. We're going to pedal through the feet, one at a time. So bending the knee on one side, pushing the heel down on the other, getting a nice stretch down the back of the calf, down the back of the leg. And then from here, we're going to push both heels towards the mat. And we're going to come down, bringing our knees down. So you might want to readjust your hands here. We want to come into a box position. Make sure that your knees are not together. You want about a fist width between the knees. From here, we're going to be looking down in between our hands. I want you to imagine that you've got that string coming out the crown of your head and someone is pulling it that way. And you've also got one coming out the tail of your tailbone, someone is pulling it all the way back there. So we're feeling nice and lengthened through the spine. We're going to curl our toes under. We're going to go back to where we were at the very beginning, where we were tightening that belt around our waist. We're going to inhale through the nose. We tighten that belt around our waist. Exhale. Leave that belt there. This time, inhale, we tighten that belt. Exhale, we're going to float the knees up off of the mat. We're just going to hold it here for 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, we come down. Well done. We're going to widen the knees. We're going to come into a child's pose. Sitting back on those heels, reaching the arms forwards. Well done. Okay, from here we're going to come back up. So we're back in our 4-point kneeling box position. From here, you've still got that gap between your knees, still feeling lengthened through the body. And we're looking down between the hands. So we want to try and keep the hips nice and still. We're going to slowly take that right leg back, still tightening that belt around our waist. We slowly bring it back in. We're just doing 3 on this side. As you take it back, make sure you're not sinking into that hip on the other side. We come back in. Last one. Lengthen away and back in. We go on the other side. Lengthen and back in. And again, we go 2 and in, and last one, and in. So you can either just stick with that. If you want to add the arm, we're just going to take the arm nice and long, and we slide it back in. And again, 2, and in, and 3, and in. On the other side, we go 1, and in, 2, and in, last one, and in. So there are 3 layers to this one. The 3rd layer, we're going to take it out and then we're going to lift. So we come long first, then we lift. We come down and back in. We've got 2 more. Take it long first, then lift, down and in. Oh, I'm going to get cramp in that foot. Long and lift, down and in. I really need to drink some more water this morning. And the other side, we come out nice and long, we lift, down and in. We've got 2 more. Take it long, lift, down and in. Last one, lift, down and in. Okay, we're going to bring the knees around. From here, we're going to sit up nice and tall. And again, fist width between the knees. We inhale, we're going to come down halfway just off those sit bones. Exhale, rounding the spine. Try not to drop that chin all the way down. We inhale, we come all the way back up. Exhale, we go down. Inhale, we come up. Exhale, we're going to go all the way down this time. Into a full body stretch. Lengthen the arms behind you. Imagine you're trying to reach something. And then we're going to walk the feet up towards the bum, hands down beside the hips, our right leg. Sorry, before we start moving the leg, let's set up our abdominals. So still think about slightly lifting up through that pelvic floor. We're tightening that belt around our waist. We're going to take that right leg nice and long. We just take it out and we bring it in. And 2. And in. And 3. And in. From here, we're going to lift that right leg up into a tabletop position, 90-degree angle. This time, we lengthen the leg, but we're going to try and keep the knee close to the other knee. So we're not bringing it all the way down. We come back in. We lengthen. And in. And last one. In and down on the other side. So we just go nice and long. And we bring it in. And again, we go nice and long. And in. We have one more. And in. We lift that leg into a tabletop position, tighten that belt around the waist. We lengthen. And in. And again, we lengthen. And in. We've got one more. Lengthen. And in. From here, you take that foot down. We're going to inhale. And tighten that belt around our waist. As we exhale, we lift the right leg. Inhale, we tighten that belt around our waist. Exhale, we lift the left leg. Okay, keeping that belt nice and tight around our waist. We lengthen the right one. We bring it in. We're going to lengthen the left. Bring it in. That's one set. Right and in. And left and in. We've got one more rep. And in, left side, and in. If you need to, we're going to take the legs down, have a quick breather, and we're going to go again. So this time we're going to do something slightly different, but we are going to bring both legs back up. So inhale, we tighten that belt. Exhale, we lift the right leg. Inhale, tighten that belt again. Exhale, lift the left. From here, we're going to lift the head and kind of the shoulder blades up off the mat. Think about lifting up through that pelvic floor. Floating the hands up off of the mat next to the hips. We're going to pulse them up and down as we inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Hands down, head, shoulders, neck down. One leg and the other. We're just going to finish off with a couple of bridges. So walking the feet up towards the bum. We've still got fist width between the knees. Make sure your knees are not together. So hands beside the hips. We're going to scoop that tailbone under, allow the back to sink into the mat, but then we're going to start lifting those hips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we come back down. And again, inhale, we come up. Keep the shoulder blades on the mat. Do not come up towards the neck, so keeping those shoulder blades nicely in contact with the mat. Exhale, we come back down. We're just going to do 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale down. We're going to hug the knees in towards the chest, holding here. And maybe give ourselves a gentle rock side to side. Round in one direction. It's like a little massage on the back. So 3 one way, 3 the other. And then coming down. And we're just going to go into a full body stretch, stretching out those abdominals. Imagine you're really reaching for something behind you. Imagine I'm pulling you from your toes as well, really lengthening through the whole body. And then we come back up. Okay. And that is us done. So well done.